am live. It says live on my side.
Oh, now it says live.
I'm pretty sure we're live. This
We're
is actually
live.
probably the best start this alternate world podcast has ever had. I've never said that. What else can we do to make this the best conversation that we've ever had?
Well, there's currently one concurrent viewer, so
Is there? I think it's you.
it could be me. That's fair.
It is 10 o'clock on a Sunday while we're recording this. And I don't think Substack has users on the weekend.
Uh,
It's usually when people are working and they don't want to be working, they're here.
I see.
But like today, they should be with their families. They should be watching the Olympics.
Yeah, those would be reasonable things to do. Perhaps
Also,
watching the coverage of the Riftbound regional qualifier that's in Bologna right now. Some
that
of my friends are doing that. But
yeah, this will be heard in August. So,
oh, really?
hello, yeah, no, hello, people in August. We are calling from February, and we're just letting you remember all the great things. USA beat Canada in hockey last night or this morning. I don't know what the timing of anything is now because it's in Italy.
Yeah.
These usually we don't talk too much about temporal things because we're talking about 20 years ago or
Right.
so.
Yes.
Or 30 years ago in many cases. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing is for me, it's like compared to many of your people, I am like among the most recent by being involved in Magic like only 13 years ago or something. So
you're a baby. Yeah, you're like
I'm a child.
Yeah, you are. You came like right after I left.
I did.
Or when did you show up?
I arrived in July of 2008.
Okay, yeah, you're a couple years after me. I know Eric Lauer started literally the month after I left. And I was like, it would have been nice to overlap, but
Yes.
it's okay. It's okay. How did you even get into Magic? Were you like a gaming child? Like, what happened to you?
I was a gaming child. I found Magic very early on after I played some chess tournaments, and I was like, this competition thing is really fun, but chess is kind of boring. And someone introduced me to Magic, and I was like, oh my God, like this is like chess tournaments, except it's good.
Yeah.
And then at some point, I read a thing in like Inquest or Scry or something that was like, oh, and like this person who makes Magic cards said blah. And I was like, oh, right, these are made by people. And then I'm like, I could be people. That sounds like it would be cool. And I sort of never let that go. In college, I did some boring internships and then realized that I did not want to like analyze mutual funds or get an economics PhD or whatever. And I just wanted to make Magic cards. And back in the day, I think there wasn't as much like internet connectivity to all of these people. And so like, if you just decided that like you were now going to go be known by the right people and then get hired by them, there was actually just no competition whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
And so I decided that I would become known by the right people. And I started like evangelizing Cube Draft as a way to play Magic, which getting good at making that sort of like aligns with getting good at, game design in general.
Yeah, for sure.
And so that was like kind of good preparation for that. And then I became the Cube guy. There was a Cube at the Magic Invitational at one point, and I was like, I'm going to interview Aaron Forsyth about the Cube. And then afterward, I was like, hey, want to hire me? And he was like, well, maybe, like, apply to Devin Lowe right now. And then I immediately got the job. So I think like I'm generally a pretty high agency person. And lately, I feel like the world has gotten a lot more competitive. So like I keep doing all my high agency things and they work a lot less well because other people have realized how to be high agency, and that's very annoying. But
it is how the world works. That is capitalism by design. It's actually good for the customer.
Yes,
but bad for the competitor.
Yes, it is annoying for me in particular. But yeah, I assumed that I was like wildly unprepared for going into Wizards, which is kind of true in hindsight. Like there are a lot of things I did not know. I was really quite bad at Magic compared to how useful it would have been to be while working on Magic, but
Hmm.
also the competition that knew how to email Aaron Forsyth and say, "Hi, would you like to hire me?" was much weaker. And given the way that various careers went, I do believe that the round of interviews that I went, I was the right choice for them to pick,
At the time. Yeah.
and and they picked me, and
I,
yeah,
you triggered something for me. And so this is something that comes up in my brain, but I can't, I really can't talk about it much. My kids go to a school where they have an annual chess tournament and it's great, right? It's cool. They're playing a chess tournament. The kids are getting games training, but every time I see it, I'm like, why not play a real game? And you know
yep,
what I mean? And the problem with that thought is like it probably would require a lot of effort on my part to like change the dynamics and the culture and
yeah.
teach people. And so I don't do it, but I think it. And
Well,
there's nothing wrong with chess. It's a fine game, Stuart. But
yeah, well, I was talking about this with
Magic is better. Yeah.
well, in a certain way. I mean, I was talking to my husband and his brother yesterday, actually, about the difference between Magic and Riftbound, which is like the League of Legends trading card game that I've been playing.
Yeah.
And what I said to them, which required explanation, was Riftbound is a simpler game, but it is much harder.
Hmm.
And they said, you're going to have to unpack that one.
Sure.
So in order to unpack it, I went to the example of chess and Go, where like in chess, you have like all your pieces are like in a back row and you like move a pawn out and you're like, I've made some progress towards something that I can feel and notice. So like each move is like not as abstract. You're like moving your army somewhere. Where in Go, it's like you just put a stone down. Like, was that good? I don't know. Like, did something good happen because you played your stone at the 4-4 point or whatever? And it's like, I don't know. Like, you have to play a lot of Go
It's like
before
an argument that like maybe AI playing games against us or instead of us is good at times.
I.
Yeah.
But like in Riftbound, you often don't like if you move your unit to a battlefield and score a point. Like, was that good? Like, you're theoretically closer to winning, but maybe like your opponent will chomp your unit, and like, was that a good idea or not? And in Magic, it's like, you attack, you deal some damage to them, your creature is now safe. And it's like the logic of like, do I attack or don't I attack is generally quite easy. So like there are more turns that go back and forth. So like things are foggier, but each individual decision is much easier. And there are many decisions that are like low stress. Like, I don't know, you should probably play a land. So play land. Like, high five, you did it. Good job. And like Riftbound has just so few easy wins. And I think, whether you want the amount of easy wins you want to put in your game is definitely an interesting question. I think like the more that there are, the more mass market accessible it is.
Hmm. Hmm.
Riot's brand is very much toward the most core of core people.
Hyper
So,
competitive. Yeah.
so it makes sense to me that they would make a highly opaque trading card game. But, um, I mean, the other thing in your case is that sort of the question is like, what is the purpose of the chess tournament? And I think when you talk about the purpose of the chess tournament from an educational point of view, that dovetails with like what I get out of gaming and why I went into the game industry, which is I think the point of the chess tournament is to give the kids a place where they can like feel the immediate pressure and consequence of their actions against other people. And I
Hmm.
think when I was growing up, I was very, very smart and very little in my life was actually challenging. And like the amount of effort that I put into things didn't matter to the results that I got at school. I was going to get A's whatever I did. But when I went to the like Tempest Block draft at the local game store,
Yeah, yeah.
like I had to work my ass off to win matches.
Can I ask a
And
serious question?
yeah,
Are you good enough to work at Wizards now? You said you wish you had been better at Magic when you worked there, but now you've been like
I think so.
one thing that I know about you that others don't is like you've been working out. Like you have been like brain training and body building and like cube drafting and cube building. Like I know that like you're much stronger. Like no one should mess with you.
I
You know what I mean?
I think I'm strong enough now. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
what my favorite stat about my personal Magic career is that I have Grand Prix top 16s in 2003, 2008, and 2016. Like the fact that I have two Grand Prix top 16s with a decade apart, I think like says something. Like
Mhm.
the level of competition in 2008 was much higher than the level of competition in 2003. You know, it was wildly higher in 2016. And, you know, I did grow in the meantime.
Okay.
So,
I'm not interviewing, but I
no, no, I know.
know
It's
this.
like I think that in terms of being able to do game design, like there's a certain skill bar that is required. And I would say that like objectively, I was below the skill bar when I started at Wizards. And I
Mhm.
think I am above it now. And I think it is just straight up a binary and it's not like, I don't know, to make the game fun enough, like you either need to be able to figure out what's good in general enough or not. And like I
Quickly, yeah.
can quickly, but like I can now. Like I won't be able to like do the Eric Lauer thing where he like looks at the card file and is like, green is slightly better than the other colors. I am removing this toughness. Like I can't do that, but like I
Mhm.
can tell you it's close and that's probably fine for shipping. So, I mean, and the other thing I can tell you is like, um, you know, like this might be balanced, but its effect on the overall gameplay of it existing is so deleterious that like don't make it. Like that's another thing I can do very quickly. So, um, anyway,
Triggered another thought, which have you ever been to the restaurant Opaque, to the restaurant franchise? Have you been to this
no,
place? It was interesting for me, and I'm sorry that you're on Freedom Friday and it's actually a Sunday, so sorry. But so Opaque was a restaurant where everyone who worked there was blind and it was all dark. The lights were
yeah,
out and it was like the melting pot of blind eating. So I was just curious, like I could see Tom happy at a place like that,
I think
enjoying
I would
the
enjoy that.
sensory experience. I see that as a Tom
Yeah. Well, that,
specific. Yeah, like you should do it. Like you should seek it out.
yeah,
Was
yeah,
what
yeah, yeah. Well,
I
so
think you would like that.
God,
Yeah.
I mean, like the whole reason I'm in gaming is that like I want to trick people into learning stuff by using entertainment. And
We're
I don't mean
educators.
this
We're
right.
educators. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. And like, you know, that when I started in the game industry, there was, you know, I sort of thought we were making art. Like, you know, we were supposed to make the most beautiful educational material in the world. And like we are, but also like you really have to get people to show up. And I think there's some uh, uncomfortable truths about working in the entertainment industry that are just like very important to understand. And there was recently, I was reading a book on ancient Rome, which is a thing that American men do sometimes. And I was reading
Is-
about the
is-
what
which book did you? I read SPQR at some point. Which book did you read?
I read the Roman Games, which is a academic survey of literature on the Colosseum and the culture surrounding it, which
Cool.
you know is very interesting to me from an entertainment point of view because
Yeah.
it was wildly successful and also horrifying in so many ways. But the
It sounds like that's like humans, and that's like a great summary of like humanity.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So the thing that was sort of interesting about that to me is that you know there's a lot of like, depictions of like Roman gladiators and fighting in pop culture, but generally speaking, at least in the early existence of these things, they didn't really want gladiators to die in a fight because that would be very expensive and it was expensive
Bad
to
business.
train these
Yeah.
people. Right. So, the threat of having one killed is like sort of an important part of the thing, but the setup was mostly like 90% of the time you would spare the loser at the end. And what you would need to do in order to earn that is that you, at least like based on data, you need like a good 10 minutes of fighting between the two people with enough show and enough blood. Like people just really wanted to see blood. So you would train to like cut and be cut right on the surface. You would eat so that you had like lots and lots of layers of fat so that you could bleed out of it safely. And you would like fight for long enough that you felt like the crowd was happy. Um, Somebody wins, and then like everyone's happy, and you get a thumbs up, and we all go home.
It's a
And
Barnum and Bailey death match.
yeah, yeah, and like
Okay.
you would definitely rather be the guy who is not like 10% to die, but like at some point you can be pretty sure that like one of you is not going to die. But that gave me, and I love dark metaphors in general. So the dark metaphor that I took away from this is blood, where like in every form of entertainment, there is something that is like gross, but also necessary to the entertainment that like you must provide every time or you blew it. And at the time when I was reading this book, I was working at Pocket Gems, which is one of the world's leading makers of women's popcorn romance on mobile phones.
That's when I think
And
I think women's popcorn romance. No, I'm just kidding.
yes,
I also like am totally happy working in that space. But continue.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I mean, I'll sidebar and say that like a lot of serious game makers just like ignore wide swaths of the population that also deserve great games.
Hmm.
And I think Pocket Gems has interestingly positioned itself like to make games for those people. So it's like a bunch of really smart and driven individuals who go there and make things for not themselves. And that is a profitable place to live if you're happy to live there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, but yeah, like in women's popcorn romance, blood is being chosen as a love interest by the highest status person of your target gender in the room without you having to change at all. And they have like discovered the beautiful properties of you that were there all along, and you don't have to earn anything. That's blood for that audience.
You've given me some ideas. Unfortunately for you.
Oh, so,
No, I
but
like
like,
cross the streams. Like,
yeah, yeah.
why not do both? Like, have blood and like love sport. Uh,
Oh. Well, I mean that, yeah, like that's, I assume that there's lots of media out there that does what
yeah,
you're
yeah,
talking about. It's fine.
for sure. Yeah, yeah.
But then like, having this metaphor, it's like, in what I'm working on right now, what is blood? And I think one of the lessons from Mike Turian when I worked there is like, Mike is just like, look, he wouldn't have used this language, but what he was saying at the time is like, look, powerful cards are blood. I am going to fight everyone to make my sets as powerful as possible because I know that that sells magic cards. And if the rest of the appeal of it fails, I will at least have made people buy this with blood. And he was always pushing on like just power creep faster than other people thought was right.
Hmm.
Um, I don't think his willingness to power creep his own sets outside of like agreement with other people about what we were collectively doing was very healthy for the culture at the time.
Hmm.
But he wasn't wrong.
Yeah,
I think he was just mildly sociopathic in a certain way. So, that's a thing that I wish
that
he
does
had.
describe my generation of game makers. Like, I think like you're like
Yeah,
mildly sociopathic was what we hired for. I think not me specifically, but like
yeah. Well,
that was what the culture was looking for. Yeah.
I mean, by the time you got to Pocket Gems, I wouldn't have described you as mildly sociopathic, but
Oh, I don't
um,
think I was there either, but yeah.
yeah, um,
Uh, but the culture was.
yeah, that's definitely true. Um,
Yeah.
and arguably still is based on other experiences I've had over the last decade. But um,
It's a critical group of people, right? This is a group of people criticizing designs all the time, and it's easy to like criticize the perspectives that people are presenting to you all the time. And it's hard to be able to have perspective when you're living in a culture that's that like critical at its heart,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
well, I mean, the other thing is that like early Wizards was a bunch of gamers, and they were like gamers,
Yeah.
where I mean, Randy Bueller is, one of my favorites to talk about. Where like, he's obviously brilliant, uh, obviously, drove Magic to higher heights than it was ever at before he got involved. But like, also, I don't think it was an accident that like when the Magic Pro Tour was Hall of Fame was created, he was
Mhm.
like, it'll be 5 people at a time. Like he knew that he was the 5th person. He knew, like, I think, having calculated that it's like, if there was a threshold or whatever, he may or may not get over the line. But if it was like the top 5, he was number 5. So like he's in the position where he can say it's 5. And one
Yeah.
in the in Magic R&D, like the colors of Magic with like the color pie is sort of like a fun personality test. And uh, often we would talk about like what color each person was.
Yeah.
And, Randy, I think, always claimed that he was blue black with the idea that like, he understood that he had some amount of like, ambition and such going on. But like, I think he also thought of himself as being very intelligent, which is like a blue thing. But I think that in general, Magic R&D people over identify with like, I'm smart, so I'm blue. And I don't think like Randy was, I would color pie him 100% as a black card. And
Yeah, when you
I
see
don't know.
like the before and after of like Randy's time at Wizards and like what he's done after, it's like he doesn't seem black at all to me now. He seems like blue green, right? Or something
Yeah,
that's like,
sure. Yeah, I don't know.
right? Yeah, it's like
I
he
mean,
doesn't seem black to me at all.
I
But I
do
could,
feel like jumping from Magic to Gleemax is definitely a black aligned move. But
there was a darkening period. Like so, Randy, when I started, I think is blue green. There, I can't really explain like what it was or why it happened, but like around like 2004, 2005, he and Andrew Finch go up to like this director level, and they start being closer to whatever is going on strategically at the company.
yeah,
Like which I can feel out like what's going on, but I'm not like I'm more on the magic. I'm just eating magic at that point. And something happens around that time where there's this like competitive fire in both of them. They both go
yeah.
darker, and that's something that like I'm interested to talk to Andrew too, because they were both like really friendly, just doing everything for like the good of everyone. And I
Mhm.
didn't think they were like, yeah, I don't know. Was it like a seed planted in them? Was there like
Yeah,
some carrot presented? I don't know, but like I think of them both as like kind of friendly people to hang out and game with. And Randy was often like a voice of reason for me because, like,
yeah,
when I talk to Randy, it's you'll see if you watch or listen on Tuesday, but it's like that's how the conversations go. It's just like quiet, calm, and singing. So it's like
yeah,
very interesting. There was a window though where it was like, oh, there's a shift. I don't really understand it. And for me personally, it became pretty frustrating because the company was pushing towards doing so many new things, distracting itself from what I thought was important that like it was hard to endure because we had to weather a lot of, you
right.
know, the making magic with like 5 people instead of like 300 is a big like strain.
Yeah. And I also want to be clear that like I worked a little bit with Randy while I was at Wizards. I also worked with him playing some tournaments like later on after he left Wizards, and like he was always super smart, super gracious, but like, I would Randy is always going to make sure that like the situation is something that's going to be solid for Randy. And like when you're working at a company and you put the right incentives on people, it's like, when you align someone's self-interest with the interest of the company and
Yeah.
making a great thing, you get some incredible things. Like what Randy did for Magic between 7th edition and you know,
Right. Yeah.
like
Definitely starts. Yeah.
it's unbelievable how much he moved Magic forward. So like,
And the people pipeline and all these things. Yeah.
yeah, I couldn't even see that, right? It's like I just look at like the development of Magic from Invasion to Mirrodin it's so much better.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah. It's an interesting one. I think, some people I talk to and I'm like, oh, they didn't change that much, but like they found their niche and that's good. Um, some people have changed a bunch and like Randy's one where I'm like, if he, later on, if he told me he was like secretly leading the world or running some Illuminati, I'd be like, yeah, all right, that makes sense. Um, if he's just chilling and like playing games and living his life and enjoying it, I'm like, all right, I could see that. He played Magic, right? Like he plays games
yeah,
and has fun. Um, he's the one I'm like, I can't tell. Like, I'm an empath and I feel different things, but like he is like harder for me to read in terms of like, because I just see him, he was a natural leader at CMU. He was a natural leader at Wizards on the Magic side. I think it gets weirder on the digital side. When you go off
yeah,
and do something that isn't your world, that's that different and challenging. I think it's like uh, eye
yeah,
opening, probably. I certainly, yeah, that was a weird time. You join after like the Spider Man goes from like red and blue to black, pretty much. Is
yeah,
my read.
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely, yeah. And I remember um the day that there was like the big layoff that obliterated Gleemax.
Hmm.
And Randy came by Magic R&D, and there was definitely a sense from the way he was carrying himself that day where he was like, "Yeah, this went like that. This all makes sense. All right." And it was like, "I'll see ya." And then he was out. Um, I don't know. He was very gracious about it, but I think there was definitely a little bit of like, I feel like I made some kind of misplay here along the way.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
we most of us haven't raised $25 million to try to pull off a new division and, try to make that work.
Oh yeah.
I have done it now, and it is like, it's a little bit like, when the ring gets presented to, like, a Galadriel or to Gandalf, and you see like, some manifestation of who they could be if they're worst or whatever, like, those
Hmm.
situations do bring that out in everyone. So it's
Yeah.
interesting from, like, a, "Hey, what are you made of? Who are you really?" perspective,
Hmm.
um, if you're pushed to the core. But I think at the end, he was like, "Oh, like, I don't need to be, like, fully competitive all the time." And so
Hmm.
I really enjoyed the chat with him, but again, I've known him for a long time.
Yeah.
Um, so my
Yeah. I
my
mean,
take on
if
him is different than everyone else's. He was my teammate.
right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the my big takeaway with Randy is that like if he ever walks up to you and says, "I'm going somewhere. Do you want to go there with me?" If you want to go to that place, you should say yes and you should
Mhm.
go because like yeah, he is an excellent traveling companion when he decides he wants to get somewhere.
I mean, I don't think Mike Turian is Mike Turian now without Randy. I don't think Eric Lauer is Eric Lauer without Randy, and like in the Magic
Yeah,
sense. And I don't,
I
I
think that's
certainly don't
true.
get to Wizards too. Um, and I don't know if Foresight gets there. So like it is, was Randy pulling that group of people and helping corral these like ruffians, myself included, Nate Heiss and all these
Yeah.
people that like he like inordinately like helped through his
Mm,
pursuit, like shared pursuit, right? It is weird to me that again that he's not leading somewhere, but maybe he is, and I just don't know it. But that's what I
yeah.
expect from Randy based on my time with him. Like the only
Yeah.
times I've been with him are him doing that. So him not doing that, it's like it feels funny.
It's funny that you think about that. Like I hadn't, I think, thought of myself as like a Randy Bueller like figure before, but in a certain way, I did have that effect on the like Ohio Valley world, magic world of my generation,
Hmm.
where like um I brought, I think, three people from my world into Magic R&D after I moved there. Sam Stoddard was at Magic for a while, and he made a bunch of sets. So the last one he made was Theros Beyond Death, but he was there for like many years. Um, I kind of forced Adam Prozac to follow me to Wizards in a certain way, and I think he was kind of. I mean, my read was that he was sort of drifting and not sure what he wanted his life to be, but now, like, he's been making Magic cards for 15 years or something. So that worked out well. And it's like, certainly I haven't brought like as many people that were as early and as foundational, but I think like, I was like, I'm going to Wizards. And then I got there and I was like, you guys were the kind of people who should maybe be out here doing this. Like, do you want to come hang out? And a few of them said yes. And I don't know. Like the thing I did was like not zero similar to the thing you're describing Randy having done, I think.
I think it's how armies form. Like I'm reading a lot about this now, but it's kind of how people in societies work, where like many people want to lead, and they want to compete to lead, and then they essentially bring people to their like orientation by like having some split where they're giving something that the other people need for the sake of like moving forward as a group. And so it feels so human and innate. Like this is how social dynamics just work. You're going to bring the people you think should be part of like the success path you're going for to that group. And that's
Yeah.
like you see it over and over again in history. And
Yeah.
yeah,
I don't think
you
I
said,
really try to collect anyone. It's more like I'm trying to make something happen. And when I know
yeah,
who the right people to make that happen are, like I try to convince them that. And it's not like I want power. I just want the thing. So,
yeah, that sounds very Tom like. You said something that
yeah.
triggered me a little bit earlier in the conversation. So we were talking about episode and what blood was. And I talked
Yeah.
with someone who was one of the executive producers on those mini video soap operatic apps,
Yeah.
real short style stuff.
Real shorts. Yeah.
Yeah. And she was saying that the blood in that universe was shame. Like they just shame you from the beginning and till the end until you overcome this incredible sense of shame, which is very different than like what we do in Western
Well,
entertainment generally.
that's really interesting. I want to say that episode is different because in episode, the fiction of it is that you really are you. Like, you make a
Yep.
main character. We're like, who are you? Where in real shorts, this is just like some other vessel for
That's a
the
good point.
the protagonist to be. And so like I don't think like when we have things like, oh, why were you late to the party? It's like, I was like, well, I wasn't late to the party. This fucking video game like decided that I was late to the party, you
I sent
asshole.
you a video game.
And
Seriously.
right. Where
We
it's
did
like
this.
in real shorts, it's just like, this woman was late to the party and you're like, oh yeah, she was late. Okay.
It's one of the
So
reasons why choices probably are not that pertinent there. Like they're trying them out, but they have to be you oriented for you to
yeah,
care. Yeah.
they're not good. They're not good. They don't matter because it's not you. You're not self-expressing. I think that's the thing that makes episode there's two things that make episode different from other competing platforms, I think.
Hmm.
One of them is agency through self-expression because like you really get to be you. And the other one is that the art style makes it so that you don't have to imagine very much. Like it's cartoonish, but like it's not like reading, we don't say like you walk into the bar and it's like this so that you have an idea of what the bar is like and you don't have to like read that. It's just like, oh, here's a bar.
I don't think episode gets enough credit for just how like crazy it is as like a concept that has succeeded, what it
Yeah.
enables and empowers. Like, I don't think the
Yeah.
world
No.
really knows or cares, but it's
And
awesome. Yeah.
I think people don't understand that like the two things that make it hold up are like it is the easiest way to read if you don't like reading, and it gives you lots of choice. Those are
Yeah.
no one else is doing both of those things.
Yeah. And you can create these things if you want to, right? And there's a community that
Yes.
supports it. That's bonkers. Like, it's so bonkers that this thing exists compared to like most products out there. Most people
Yes, it
just
is
have like,
bonkers.
here's a hybrid casual idle game that's just a clone of someone else's game, but with better ads and monetization. Like, that's what people do most of the time. And this is like, here is an entire creation platform that where people can create animated visual stories, like, and like figure out what to do and how to be themselves. It's pretty awesome, I feel. That's
Yeah.
a product that like it is funny how like we both worked on Magic the Gathering and then later on work on episode and we're like, that feels right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think we both were like, this is exactly where we belong, making products for a market that loves to read and like feel things.
Yeah. Well, I think people in our demographic like often undervalue like that the point of entertainment is to feel stuff. Like,
Feelings, everything. Yeah.
yeah, like, it's I'm not flying um to Vegas this weekend to play in the Riftbound Grand Prix because like I don't know, it's like maybe I think sometimes it's about like whatever, but it's like I want to go on a ride.
You know
Like,
what I want? You know what I want? I want you to instead of like just tracking your life, track the feelings you have during the match.
yeah.
It's almost like it's a weird psych out tactic, like resentment.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, something I think was really funny is like back when I was preparing for Pro Tours, we talked about a lot about like, oh, like what's good, and does this beat this and whatever, and like the group that I'm in right now, it's a Riftbound Discord team thing that sort of fell out of some combination of the current Team Handshake and Team The Boulder, which are two like pro Magic groups or whatever, but people will say like, well, you played some games with that. Like, how are the vibes on that deck? It's like, it is like they're asking how it feels. They're not
Oh
like
yeah.
telling you, like, what do you think the math is? They're like, what are the vibes? And it's really interesting that like there's much more acceptance of like the heart as a like
It's gone
way to
all
choose
over.
a deck.
It's gone all over the map when like you think about the people who were kind of classic designers in the or deck designers in the 90s. Like, you have Eric who's looking for power, you have V who's thinking about it very mathematically. I'm like wholly feel oriented. And so it's
Hmm.
like very interesting if you're talking with other people of that cohort. There's like those generally seem like the poles, but there were people who were like Paul Sotosanti when he was at CMU. They instituted like data tracking and they tried to make it quantitative, and it's inefficient to do that. You know,
Yes.
it's very inefficient to cripple yourself with data.
Yeah, I think the existence of 17lands.com has been very interesting for the world of like Magic drafting because they do scrape like everyone's Magic Arena data who signs up for this thing. And you can tell,
Mhm.
like, oh, like Torch the Tower is actually the best common in this set. And like, you know, the next best common wins like, you know, 0.3% less like game and deck win rate or whatever. And like for the first 2 weeks, the confidence intervals are, nowhere near enough that like you actually know that that's true. But like by the end of the format, after you've drafted 80 times, like they really are that small. Like you know what the best card is,
Yeah,
but it is more fun before that is known. Like the time it is fun to play is when you have to open the pack and like think and feel. And
that's right.
I don't
Like,
know.
if you're just a machine, then you're not. You shouldn't be there.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hmm. Yeah, there was something you reminded me of. So on Substack, there's someone who just designed a scraper who's like, I can show you every note for every person on the platform, and you can try to, emulate them. And it was like, I'm blocking this person. I don't have any interest in this person. But at the same time, the thing that like occurred to me was like, look, dude, you can't be me. There's like nothing you can do. And everyone who's like on the platform should probably feel that way, where they're
Mhm.
like the value proposition is actually like the person making this by and large, not like the
Yeah,
presentation of it. So they're kind of missing the point and kind of cheating themselves a little bit, right?
kind of. I mean,
Depends on what you're doing, right?
well,
You're not, yeah, you're not to be me, right? You're gonna be, but you can
right.
be something. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that I think in a lot of media, there is a correct shape for that medium that
Hmm.
like you must respect.
Sure.
And I think a lot about are you familiar with the screenwriting manual Save the Cat?
Yeah, I am for sure.
Okay.
We may have
So,
used that at a company that I worked at recently.
yes. Well, I think that a lot of like pure creative people I have known have really resented the existence of that thing, but like there's Story by Robert McKee, there's Save the Cat, there's like the story circle that Dan Harmon uses of Community fame or whatever. But,
Yeah.
like all of these point at some kind of objective truth about the correct shape of a story.
Hmm.
Like humans respond to a specific
Yeah.
shape of story.
Joseph Campbell stuff.
Right. Well, I don't. I think Joseph Campbell goes like too far with like the monomyth. That's too much.
Yeah.
But like, I prefer being more abstract. But like, the thing that I think comes up in a lot of writing circles is like, you're saying like you can't be me, and I think that makes sense. But like, you can still use the objective, correct structure of a story to tell a story that only you can tell. But like, there is a correct structure, and you are throwing away value if you don't use it.
My read is that if that's what the guy is doing, then cool.
It doesn't
I
sound like it's what that person is doing,
no.
but I think that
That
could be
yeah.
done, is what I'm saying. Like, there might be a best shape of a Substack post, and
Oh,
figuring out
there are tons of people who do that, and I think it's really interesting. The people they draw into their orbit are the other people who would want to do that specific thing.
yeah,
And so you have Justin Gary, sorry, Justin, but like he's like clearly taking the best practices, and it's really like very organized and clear and, you know, direct, but not
yeah.
interesting by and large. You know what I mean? And so it's those people are a subset of like humans that want that sort of thing. And then there's a bunch of messy minded people who want a different thing. Uh it almost feels
I
like Substack organizes that way. Like there are
yeah.
different people doing different types of things that have their own recipe for telling a story, which still applies. That's still true,
Oh,
probably.
so I'm gonna tangent into a thing that
Let's hear it. Yeah.
Brady Dommermuth taught me while I was working at Wizards. So Brady Dommermuth was very into perfumes and scents.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
he described to me at one point how you make a new perfume, which is that you find something absolutely terrible that no one has ever smelled before in the world of perfume, like just the most god awful thing you can imagine. And then you cover it up with things that you know smell good. And so, like, most of what is in the perfume is stuff that is like boring and known before, and it smells good. But underneath it all is like some hint of horrible novelty. But like, it's so bad that no one in the history of perfume has ever thought to even try it before. And that's how you get something that is new and like worth going and having a new experience of. And I think that like that extends to a lot of creation of new products where like humans have created lots and lots and lots of products, and if you're trying to just get a need met, you can like go find an existing product and buy it and it's going to be fine. But like if you're out there looking for like what's new and interesting, it's probably going to be worse than other things that exist, because if it were
What about
better.
when Richard was making Magic the Gathering?
sometimes it's better, and that is like fucking magical. But
Right. So you have to
where
prioritize which brain you're going to try to go after,
right.
right? It's totally
But
fine
like
to like index on a format that people understand. And
right.
it's totally fine to try to explore to find a new way of formatting information so that people get more value
Yes.
out of it, right? Yeah.
But then also, like the reason that I think this is all interesting is that going back to magic here, I think that people misunderstand what Mark Rosewater's job actually is.
What is Mark
Because
Rosewater's actual job?
so Mark Rosewater's job is head designer of Magic the Gathering. And
Mhm.
uh he needs to at this point generate the big ideas for 7 full-size magic sets a year, all of which seem novel enough that people buy them all at a rate that Hasbro is happy with the
Yeah,
return
it's
on.
marketing first in a lot of ways, right? It's like, what's
Right.
going to be exciting about this? Sure.
But Mark needs every magic set to like also be fun enough as a magic set. So like the logical implication of this is that Mark's job is to find all of the things that are above the line just barely of like it would be acceptable to make a magic set out of this and use all of them, but like never drop below the line. So like he's doing a high wire act where like some of the time he is going to find something new and incredible that is like actually good. And
Yep.
when you do that, like we all run a victory lap and high five and it's great. But like a lot of the time it is just barely good enough. And you execute on it in all the ways that you know how to make a magic set. And like,
Yeah.
we're like, we survived that one. Great.
That
Um,
that is a very Silicon Valley way to approach things too, right? Like there's more similarity to that than like we normally consider when they give money to a bet that's 99.9% likely to fail. They're looking for like the ones that are worth having around for the long term. It's
yeah.
similar. Yeah.
Cause like, I will, a word that has become shorthand for me and like certain people I've talked to is like, does that smell interesting or not?
Hmm.
And what I'm talking about is that like stinky novelty that like, you know, is is there something new there? And even if that thing is worse, like, does it have the smell that cuts through the known? And I think like I will say that like when I have described this, what I think Mark's job is to like other magic initial designers, they like basically just want to kill me because like it's so demeaning of like what the idea is. And like if you think that's what your job is, you never find like the truly great ones. But
Hmm.
I think there's definitely stuff where it's like, they made Aether Drift, which is like a set based on vehicles. And like, of course, you're going to do like the racetrack magic set at some point that's like based on vehicles, but like it is like objectively horrible to put
It's the pod
the
racing. Oh,
no, no, no. Like from a game mechanical perspective, building a magic deck, like if you are drafting, you have a 40 card deck. If you put the third vehicle in your deck, you probably fucked up.
hmm,
And so like they had to make an entire limited environment that's like about vehicles where like somehow it's not a disaster to put the third one in.
yeah,
And
yeah.
like if you have 3 copies of a thing in your deck, your deck's not about that. Like come on. So like this was not good as a magic set. But like you have to eventually make the vehicle magic set because vehicles are a thing in magic. So you're just stuck with it and you have to make it as good as you possibly can. And that is part of the job. Um, So yeah, that was one thing. There was something else I was thinking, and now it's
I'm not in your brain, Tom.
I know.
It would be fun to be in your
Um,
brain. Yeah.
Riftbound is a thing that I think is very interesting there because like it is the most novel smelling trading card game I think that has come out in a
Did
very
you play?
long time.
Did you play Brian's? Like the wonders of the first game?
I did not.
Okay, but keep going. I haven't played it
Uh,
either. So.
okay, so the way that I would describe Riftbound from a very high level is that the way that Hearthstone was made is they took Magic, they like simplified it and so that it could be played digitally and on a phone, and like it's just baby Magic. Have you played Marvel Snap?
Yeah. for sure.
Okay. So Marvel Snap is a digital first trading card game essentially that has three battlefields, and you play units like to a battlefield and they get stuck there. And at the end of the game, you win if you win two of the three battlefields. Riftbound is essentially the unpacking of Marvel Snap into a full-fledged physical trading card game. Uh, the big thing that they add when you move to physical is that your units can move during the game,
Okay.
which makes it very chessy in certain ways. And like, when you put a unit out in a battlefield, it's like at risk and it could just get chomped by something that's bigger. And all of this is like, it's frustrating and bewildering in a way that like probably is wrong to make as one of the first 10 trading card games. But there have
Yeah.
already been 10 trading card games. So like,
Yes, Star Wars like did that, right? Even Soulforge like did some of that, but the world wasn't really ready for it like it is now. Like I think Richard obviously should be the first person to like have a lot of the ideas in the space, but be too early, right? And his
yeah,
designs like feel that way largely. That makes a
yes.
lot of sense. Yeah, we have
So like,
evolved as a gaming species.
right. And it is worse in a certain way, but it's new and I am fascinated by it. So here we are.
Yeah, like so Albert Burkhead, who's the magic historian on YouTube, has been going deep down Brian Tinsman's games well. And like he's just like he loves the difference between like magic, the way it works feels very it challenges his brain in an entirely new way, which sounds similar to what you're saying, where like you don't want the same pattern all the time.
Yeah. I mean, Tinsman is an interesting case to me because while he was working on Avacyn Restored, there was a point where I went to him and I'm like, Brian, you keep trying to make this set really weird and like not in a way that I think is good.
Yeah.
And have you considered that you are not supposed to be working on magic anymore? And he was very unhappy with me after I asked him that.
It didn't come up
Um,
on our call, but keep going.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he gave me an extremely generous thank you gift right when he was leaving Wizards. So like I don't think I like incinerated equity with him. Like
Yeah.
we we had some really great conversations and all of that. But like I don't know if who else would have said to him like please stop trying to make magic cards, you're ruining this. Like, I didn't put it that way, but it was like you don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
And you trying to turn this into some other bizarre thing is like not going to work. It's going to make everyone unhappy. Like there was one point where like Brian was trying to like push a thing through Bill Rose at a like
Yeah.
executive review meeting. And I'm like, look, I have to stop this right now. I'm going to ask a weaponized question that is going to trigger Bill. Bill is going to like ask a couple of questions and then torpedo this right now. And like for the good of magic, I must do this.
Mhm.
And like that was another point where like I think Brian was pretty mad at me, but like I felt like to be responsible, it was required. Um, but yeah, I think Brian is great. And at some point before he stopped making magic cards, he would have been happier if he had stopped making magic cards.
I think he's another person, like, when you see Matt Place, I'm like, that guy just wants to work as the leader of a group. Like, that's just who he is and what he needs to be happy. And I think Brian is in a similar spot where if he's going after, like, ideas that he's excited about with a team that's
Mhm.
supporting him, I think that's going to be his happy place. Magic ends up being this weird, like, um, governmental, like, entity
Yeah.
where, like, it's not going to be yours. It's going to be the group's. There's no Donald Trump coming in to ruin it.
Yeah.
And
It's a cathedral. Like
right.
I, I've often thought about like games that behave like cathedrals do, where like a World of Warcraft, a League of Legends, a Magic the Gathering, like it will never be yours. Like it will last longer than you. It existed before you. It will exist after you. You will leave handprints on the walls. You will leave paint somewhere. You might build some stuff, but like it is more similar to like, the Sagrada Familia Cathedral in Spain than it is like your baby.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't work for you, like just don't. Like
Yeah, that's right.
personally, I love working on cathedrals. Like I think it's a
Yeah, me too.
platform for me to do my best work, but it is definitely not for everyone.
You want to have a desire to help other people and build a community around that instead of,
Yeah.
having your own vision and being like, I don't know what the right word is, but the visionary, right? Like you just feel
Yeah.
like, oh, I don't want to answer to anyone. Like I don't think I don't think some folks could have ever liked anyone in like an environment like that. And so when I hear any nitpicking, it's like really like it's you.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, I think people will often ask me, it's like, "Oh, what's your favorite Magic card that you made?" And I'm like, my initial response to that question is like, "Why are you even asking me that?" Like, if I can
all
answer
of
that
them.
question, right? It's
Yeah, yeah,
like that's not why I'm here. Like, I am here to be a steward of a beautiful forever thing. Like, if you noticed, like my favorite Magic card that was better than everybody else's Magic card, like I did not do my job.
yeah. It's a funny one. You have to like make something up on the spot usually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do have an answer,
What is it?
but my favorite is Huntmaster of the Fells from Dark Ascension. And the reason that it is my favorite is that arguably I didn't even make it at all. There was a point where Dark Ascension did not have cool enough mythic rares. And I was like, I'm not a make a cool mythic rare kind of guy. So
Yeah.
like I'm gonna find the wildest people that I know and put them in Ivory Tower at Wizards and make them make me cool mythic rares for an hour. And I stuck Aaron Forsyth was one of them. And like the mission that I gave everyone in that room was I want a mythic rare werewolf using our werewolf technology that does something when you play it, when it transforms into the other side, and when it transforms back.
Mhm.
And I don't know what it does, but like that's what this slot is. Like somebody make me that. And Aaron was the one who came up with like make a token gain 2 and like deal damage to a player and deal 2 to a creature. And the rate that I put it in the set at the end was like or at the beginning was like way crazy, but then we priced it correctly and it became one of the top played cards in the set early on. I think it was really fun to play with and against. And, you know, I made it by my definition of make,
Yeah.
but, um, Aaron's the one who wrote the words on. And I just had people who are like, there's like as many words on the two sides of that card as there are on like Ice Cauldron or something. Like, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, it's double sided. And I think this is awesome. And I want this. And, you know, made it and I think a lot of people were happy. But um yeah, that's my favorite magic card that, I made or whatever.
What's your favorite Magic epoch? You've now been like around Magic so long. You have so much Magic historical knowledge. What's your favorite? If you had to go to the top of Tibet in a temple and play only one era of Magic and those maybe even the formats that formats are divorced. You can just play
Yeah.
any era of time.
Well, let's see. For a long time I had a modern cube that I kept up to date, and I would say that the War of the Spark is like a set that kind of broke what I thought was good and clean and beautiful about Magic. I think in hindsight, the ramping up of complexity and also of like willingness to write more words on cards to be appealing was correct. Like they started making a lot more money.
Mhm.
Um, and something that I often talked about when I was at Wizards was that tabletop RPG books are often written to maximize how fun they are to read and therefore how fun they are to buy. But the game mechanics that are in them are often like horrifyingly awful at the table if you try to play with them.
Hmm.
But the majority use case is reading an RPG book, not playing with it. And the game doesn't make any money if you don't buy the book. So there's something that like you're incentivized to like write absurd words and then you sell more things. And I think during starting in War of the Spark to Crimson Vow, I think Magic became more optimized for like reading the cards and wanting to buy the cards than like the games are fun,
Hmm.
but probably in a way that was good for the product and still the cards that they made were like fine. I think a lot of it was that like um let's see, Andrew Brown was a game design protege that worked for me for a little while at Activision, and he ended up at Wizards and is like a principal game designer type there now. I think one of his big crusades was like, I'm going to make every card exactly the right power level that, and I will write more cards on words on the card to get that to the right power level. And
Hmm.
if it's not completely bonkers, like I will sacrifice a little bit of complexity to make the right power level. And that's it. And I think that the world from War of the Spark to Crimson Vow is kind of like Andrew Brown land, where like there's definitely extra words on cards, but they all like put the cards in exactly the right spot, and the gameplay
Hmm.
is really fun. And sometimes you're like, why does it say that? I don't know. But then like later you understand, and you just got to trust that that's what they're doing.
It's a little bit like
Um,
a Hamilton. Like you listen to it like 18 times through, and it's different. And you see something each time.
yeah. Then starting in Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, they basically just stopped caring about like power and like the power level perfection thing. And it
Yeah.
was like every card must be maximally appealing to read on its own. And there you start ending up with a bunch of complication on the cards that like is not part of creating the perfected gameplay.
Hmm.
And but like every card needs to be maximally inviting. And so like I think they view now like a common that you look at and you're like, well, what am I supposed to do with this? Like that's a failure. Like every card invites you into a universe of possibility. And that means that like when you start playing with all these cards that have this extra
It's
invitation on them,
really
it's a
complicated.
mess.
Yeah.
And like if it were me, I would have stopped the development of Magic's design philosophy exactly at Crimson Vow. Um, I want the power level and I want the power levels to be right to give me a great time. But I
Hmm.
don't want extra crap on every card that like I have to um think through to figure out whether it's like the important stuff or not.
It's kind of
And
like living in an AI slop world where you're just like, oh, it's too hard to be perfect. I'm just going to try to be good enough. But if there's a certain level of like when I played with the Lurwin set, it was like, this is just really complicated to play perfectly. And you kind of have
yeah,
to be okay with not being perfect,
right.
which is a weird feeling, right? It's almost designed in that same paradigm of like, oh, things are just going to be not great all the time. And you're like, why wouldn't you design it for the humans instead
Right.
of like this weird
But it's good. You're not
extra?
designing it for the players. You're designing it for the imaginer and the buyer. And that's that's just what it is. And I can't say that it's wrong because now they make like $1.3 billion a year, but it's
Yeah.
not the thing I personally would choose to play at the top of a mountain in a monastery. Um, I would
Yeah, sure.
probably bring specifically, I would bring like my modern cube that is every standard booster release from 8th edition to Crimson Vow, the end. That would be the forever version of Magic that I would bring to the
Okay.
monastery.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of great stuff in there. Yeah, I was surprised. There was another facet that interested me for the first time now that I'm not old, but I'm, like, old enough to wear glasses that have, like, they're not bifocals yet, but reading these cards with the small text, it was actually, like, a challenge, and, like, there will be a point at which I need, like, super glasses to be able to
Yeah,
even play the game, which is not a consideration they have to care about today, but it probably is in, like, 10 years,
right.
which is
Well,
funny, like
the
go
good
ahead.
news is if you want to play a game where the cards are actually readable, but also it's so hard that you have to understand that you will never do anything right in the abstract ever again, Riftbound exists and could be for you. So,
Yeah, I've not played it. I played a lot of Teamfight Tactics, which I thought was great. It was a it was a wonderful game that there's no point in playing it, but it's also a great time. If
yes,
you just like to enjoy yourself and your time, it was great. But yeah, I'm sure Riftbound. I've heard good things.
it's
I
very, very expensive, but the cards are very, very pretty. And the card stock is also like unbelievably nice. So I feel like overall, like it is priced hyper premium and it delivers on being in a much more premium experience than Magic is. So,
that's kind of neat. That's actually pretty neat that they like found that niche. It's interesting seeing the different games. Like Lorcana has like the IP, but like it doesn't feel like it wins on enough axes. It's going
no,
head to head with Magic instead of being distinct for a market enough. Um,
yeah.
so it's just not positioned in a way that feels like will it endure? I don't know.
Well,
IP isn't enough, right? I don't.
a lot of the people who made Lorcana were people who were involved with Duel Masters at Wizards of the Coast.
Mhm.
So it felt like what they did was they were like,
Magic Light.
we're gonna age up Duel Masters,
Mhm.
which gets you closer to Magic. And I think there are ways that they did improve things, but I think from a product differentiation point of view, what you're saying is exactly right. That like they just got
Mm.
closer to Magic. And Riftbound is like, we're expensive, we're beautiful, we are spectacular, we are baffling. Good luck. And I have found that the audience it attracts at local stores is one that is less casual in the sense that like they
It's an
want
escape
a
room.
deeply they want a deeply
Yeah.
challenging experience and are okay with being baffled. Where I think that commander players that I see at stores are they are there not to be challenged. They are there to
Express their
go
mastery over.
go
Yeah.
they're there to go on a ride with their friends or whatever. And I think, I've one of my favorite two by twos lately to think about various things on is and forgive the mild Orientalism here, but there was someone who talked about like game. I was a Substack post actually, where somebody was like, "Oh, modern games are just an opium den. You like go in them and you get high and you gain nothing, and then you leave and like you just
Wow.
incinerated your life and it sucks." And I'm like, okay, well, the games that I make, ideally, as opposed to the opium den, could be a dojo where like it is a place of mindfulness where you go and
Yeah.
you learn a thing and you pay attention. And like I think Magic is very clearly able to be a dojo for so many people. That's why you have this podcast at this point.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
I think that also for many people, Magic is an opium den. Like plenty of people play Magic and do not learn. So
Yeah.
like what you bring to the game is also an important piece of what's going on, which led me to the the other axis that you have to make, which is the student versus the addict. And that's about what you are bringing to the thing. Where like Magic is a dojo, but there are many addicts who go there.
Yeah, they basically made the game more friendly to addicts, right? Like
They
what you're
definitely
describing.
have. Yeah.
Right.
Where
Which is
Rift
profitable.
it is profitable, but it makes it less like a thing that I'm excited about. And when I go to Riftbound tournaments at local stores, like even the weaker players or the newer players are students. they are weak students, but they
Uh,
are students, and it's amazing. Like, you
mhm.
know, I don't want to hang out with addicts. I want to hang out with students. And, I'm playing against these people who are like in their first trading card game, and they're sharp and they're trying and they're interesting and they're dangerous. And like, there was this woman I was playing against where like she was new to trading card games, but had like bought the cards for the best deck. And I was also playing the best deck. And I presented my battlefields in a different order than she did, which was a different order than the default. And as soon as like she realized that I had juked her by like which battlefield I presented, she was just like, after this match, you're going to explain that to me. And I was like, yes, I will.
I love that. Yeah. No, that's
And
like
it was awesome. Like
humans at
that's
their best.
yeah, it's like I want to hang out with students, and playing Riftbound is like it's like 95% student, even at the trash local store tournament or whatever. It's like it's so cool. It's so cool.
No, that sounds really great to me. There was something that someone wrote recently that has been on my mind, and so I saw it on Substack. It's some guy who hangs out with people who um, he's probably on the marketing side. I'll put it that way, right? And he's like, um, Elvis is to rock to like culture as Roblox is to culture, where it's like 60s culture versus 20s culture, where, you know, Elvis introduced this or made famous this paradigm that created a new distraction that arguably may have made the world a worse place. I don't know.
Hmm.
Probably not. Probably neutral. But like, there's this, his sentiment was Roblox is the future, and um, we're just annoyed about it, right? If you're on the game dev side. And
Hmm.
I kind of want to talk about it a little bit. Because my feelings on it were like, do we ever care about the people? And like, was that the sentiment that people had around the Elvis stuff at the same time? Because I don't really mind Elvis or music. And there are things about Roblox I don't mind, but there are things about Roblox I really dislike. And it comes down to that like student versus um,
I
addict thing. I think that's the right axis of like what really irritates me about the perspective. Like, are we making it something that like has enough nutrition for people to develop in ways that are good for society? And does it
I mean,
matter? Yeah.
arguably, I mean, music is an interesting thing where like music has the perfume thing going on in kind of a massive way too, where like
Oh yeah.
I don't know how much music theory you've studied. I know you've done plenty of production and playing, but like,
Hmm.
the leading theory that as I understand it about humans and music is that our brains like it when the frequencies we hear have simple mathematical relationships to each other. So like, the first and the fifth is like 3 to 2, and that we like that. And like an
Hmm.
octave is 1 to 2, and that's even better. And the major chord is like 3 4 5, which is, the nicest way you can have 3 notes or whatever. But like the arc of music overall is like toward more of like just being ordered enough that we get it. And like there's more and more dissonance and more, surprising things where like Baroque counterpoint is all about like being maximally beautiful all the time and like just intonation so that like, your harpsichord when you play it in like C is like literally perfect where like you play the same thing in D and it sounds all fucked up because it's not in like or whatever. Um, but then the blues is like, wait, I can play major and minor chords of the same note at the same time. Like, oh, that's spicy. And like, it's this progression of like, oh, that's a little spicy. And I mean, in terms of Elvis, like, I sort of don't think of Elvis as like an individual genius in a certain way. He was just like the first white guy to bring black music technology to white
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
which like the black music technology at the time was like literally just better. And he stole it and was white. So like, okay, like that was going to happen.
Yeah.
It was going to be somebody. And, it happens to be Elvis, where like, I don't know how to tell that same story about Roblox, I guess, but like,
Yeah.
somebody was going to do that. It's like, it's not like we can't be mad at the person who made Roblox. Like somebody was
No.
going to be that. And, I do think that Roblox
It's a
kind of
good
has
idea. Yeah.
it kind of has the episode thing going on where like, people like on one hand, it's like, oh, this is like absolute trash where like, women just read these stories where like they are selected through no work of their own by somebody or whatever. But it's like, on a different level, like there is a dojo like aspect to episode where women can
Oh yeah.
play different stories as themselves, like try on different tones of relationship and feel what it might it feel like to go after different archetypes of love interest, and that like has some value. Or like, try on being super snarky today at somebody and like see how that feels versus try out being gracious. And like it is dojo like in that way. And then also you have the whole UGC creation side of it, which Roblox has, where
Mhm.
it's like, if somebody is like, I love Roblox, I'm like, tell me about it. It's like, they're like, I'm making my own games all the time in Roblox. I'm like, okay, like, keep doing that. That's cool.
Yeah.
If you are, but there's the student. Like, if you're the addict in Roblox, like, dear God.
Yeah.
But,
I
but I,
they're fun games. Like I played some of them. I played probably 25 or 25 to 50 of the games, and like they are fun, but the design of like the winning games is like definitely meant to hook at it.
yes. And we are moving in a world where, like, it is increasingly dangerous for addicts. Like, the fact that
Yeah.
sports betting apps are so broadly legal is like unbelievably horrible for the world.
This is an interesting one too. But continue in that. Like, so Substack just integrated Polymarket, which is, yeah, because the argument is that it'll make like journalism better. That was their positioning on their marketing because you'll be able to say, "Hey, this is what the world thinks," and embed it in your articles. But like,
I I mean,
it's
it's
right.
arguably very profitable. I mean, I don't
Yeah,
know, it's just incredible addict food to make literal gambling.
yeah,
And I think that should probably just be banned. Like the world would be much better if sports
yeah,
betting apps were banned. And I don't say that lightly as an entertainer. It's like there's a lot of like I'm not gonna go out and say that like pornography should be banned or whatever. It's like, but yeah, sports betting apps are over my line.
yeah. I'm not a gambling fan at all. I do like markets to tell me what's going on, but at the same time, it definitely like caused people to leave the platform that had been here for a long time because it
Yep.
also is ripe for like people cheating and fanning the
Yes.
flames of like what are we doing? But
Mhm.
maybe humanity is rarely on the level of like organizing themselves well to the point where you know we're I don't know how do you get to a good place of governance, if you know what I mean? Like, how does that happen? Because it does happen at points, right? There are cultures even in the world now that have governance that actually is kind of trying, but there's some question of how do you manufacture that? How do you manufacture like a world that's caring about the people in it more than like just exploiting every opportunity that's available under the sun that humans will fall for?
I think we're definitely at a low point in terms of caring for other people in recent
Yeah,
times. I mean,
yeah,
I would say the sort of reactionary bent that the world is on right now is definitely like pure market. And if I get you, I got you, and like maximum individual, whatever. And it's like, I don't know. I think it is very dangerous to be an addict type person in the world right now. And I do think that some of my behaviors in the world to some people look addict like, but I deeply am not. Like, I don't know. I think I spent a lot of money on Riftbound cards over the last 4 months or whatever, but like I have learned a lot about me and, making friends with people who I've been working with to accomplish things. And like, it's been really nice to get back into a competitive mode where it's like, even at like working at work, it's like, you don't get feedback that's that instant on like, how that decision went when you're like shipping a mobile app. It like takes 2 weeks for the um, analytics to populate. Where like, living in a world where sometimes I get the feedback in 5 seconds, it's like, it reminds me that like I'm playing a real game out there. It's like,
Oh yeah.
whether I write 5 or 10 on like how many hearts it takes to whatever, it's like that's going to affect things that happen to me later.
Yeah.
I don't know. The immediacy is something that I think is just really worth practicing and experiencing.
Okay. What are the things you hold on to as the things you're proudest of? While I guess from your career in general, you don't have to limit it to magics, but you can certainly go there. After all this time,
After all this time, God,
what
um,
is the top shelf of Tom's career?
maybe the thing that I am the proudest of is having pitched and then shipped episode colon reality stars, which is the most recent game that Pocket Gems made.
Hmm.
Like, I think I had on my bucket list for a long time, like pitch and ship an entire new game product.
Yeah.
And I have done that. I don't think I feel like I need to do it again. But I also think I found a very weird niche where it's like I was in a situation at Pocket Gems where the game I was working on failed. And Ben, who is the CEO, came to me and said, I want you to pitch me on what the next thing this company should do is. Like, you have 3 months. We'll keep talking, but like, this is your mission now.
Hmm.
And I thought very hard about what existed in the mobile world, what was winning in Asia, what was winning in the West. And I pitched this thing, which was basically make, at the time it was Love and Producer. Now you would say Love and Deep Space instead. But
Yeah.
I was basically saying, let's make Love and Producer for Western women with a lifestyle reality show as the fiction. And, you know, I, I was not the only super genius here because my creative partner at the time was Arthur Gradstein, and
Mm.
he was also with us through the entire process here. And Arthur is brilliant on the fiction side in terms of like making a great narrative design that justifies the kind of game mechanics that win. He is fantastic at that. And,
Mhm.
without the two of us working together, we would not have done it. But, at the time, Pocket Gems was the winner in popcorn romance for women, both in terms of making it and marketing it successfully. And I'm very proud of that solve to that situation of like, what should Pocket Gems do next? Because I have only worked on collectible games, and I think I'm a very good person to make collectible game mechanics, both that are fun to chase through and that monetize. And Arthur made an excellent fiction that was very appealing to people. And we made a thing. Like, we dreamed a new whole mobile game into existence. That's really neat. I don't think a lot of people get to do that. And I did.
That is true. Well, very cool. I can relate. That sounds really neat.
I mean, you didn't do that 0 times, right? Like,
Yeah, I have done many things. What does Andy say here? Uh,
uh, the
oh, the
opium did it
opium
in the
den. Yeah,
dojo.
that's been really helpful for me too. I don't know, Andy, if you have any questions. Andy is a magic fanatic. I think Andy knows a lot about magic from what I can
Yeah.
tell. Um, I think, well, interesting. What's your favorite magic thing you did?
I think Dark Ascension is probably the best work that I ever did.
Hmm.
Um, that was the only time I got to be the final design lead on a set that Mark Rosewater was initial designing. And so the setup here is that Innistrad is like gothic horror land with werewolves and vampires and stuff. And the second set in that block was going to be Dark Ascension, which is like the world gets even darker, the monsters are here and it's worse. And then in the third set, Avacyn Restored is like, oh, the angels are here and they saved everything. So we had to make the scary stuff. And Rosewater was very focused on like, it is bad for the humans. And before we went on break, I said to him, I think the problem is you're focusing on like the negative here too much. And I think what's actually awesome about this set is that these monsters are fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And like, can you make something that lets us put the attention on the awesome monsters? And he was like, ooh, give me 2 weeks. And then he came back with something that was totally workable. And I think there are ways in which I made the drafting of that set, I think, much better than some sets had been around that time, where like I feel like when I made that set, it was not normal to like say what the mana curve of the commons and uncommons was going to be before you started working. Like people would just make some cards and like sometimes the color had like two drops and like 2 3 drops and 4 4 drops. And you would just be like, wait, like this is messed up, but like not because any of the design is bad. So like I just made there be enough, the right number of cards of each mana cost in the set. And suddenly everyone was like, oh wow, this draft's really fun. And I'm like, I don't think it's because I'm a genius. I just put enough 2 drops in the file. Like,
Yeah.
but I think there are a lot of really good structural things I did. In hindsight, there's like details of it that are like just embarrassing. Like some of the 2 drops don't have like the right creature types where I should have just been like, this one's a vampire and this one is a wolf or whatever. And I could have made everything way better. It's like there's like random devils and things that like make no sense that are there. Um, and that's not great, but I just think structurally I was ahead of my time by some amount. And that was enough that it felt revelatory to me to play with my own cards, where it's like the cards in this set are built to help you make a deck that works. Like you are not, um, fighting so uphill. And I think are you familiar with World Chase Tag?
Mm-mm.
Okay. So World Chase Tag is a sport, like it's like playground tag turned into a one-on-one sport. And they have this like completely insane arena full of like weird rails and like platforms, and it's absolutely bonkers looking. And I think about Magic a lot when I think about like the development of World Chase Tag, where it's like it looks bonkers, but there are good reasons you assume that like that's the right shape of a arena for 1v1 tag. But like to get there over time, you have like a bunch of development you have to do, where it's like, let's say you've identified that like tag is pretty fun and you want to share tag with other people. So like, where do you play tag? Um, I feel like alpha magic is a lot like playing tag in an abandoned warehouse full of rusty debris, where
Hmm.
like the tag part is pretty fun, but like you might like trip on something and like stab yourself and get tetanus and die.
Hmm.
Um,
Or
it is,
anti cards exist. You could just
yeah,
die at the
like it,
draw of a card. Yeah.
yeah. So like, by the time that you get to Invasion, like Randy Bueller has started being like, how about we clean out the warehouse and then we'll
Yeah.
play tag? So it's like, okay, there's no like rusty nails in the warehouse anymore. Um, by the time I think you get to your era, people are like, oh, we can put like, you know, uh, we'll put some grass down and like we'll make it look like a playground because like people think of playing playground tag in a playground. Like we'll put some swings and some other stuff, and like that will be some stuff you can run around, and it's great. Um, I think when you left and Eric Lauer showed up, it was like we started turning it into like an AstroTurf football field kind of thing where it was like very
Hmm.
clean and it was like we were making a sports arena that you would play tag in. And at that point, you start looking at it and like, it doesn't quite look like tag anymore. Like, as
Hmm.
of what you think of tag, like we have started creating technology that makes better tag, but it starts to not look like the tag that you know and love. And, is that better or worse? I don't know. It's a little bit weirder of a product to approach. And by the time you get to like War of the Spark and forward, I think they were just like, all right, we're just going to make the most absurd indoor tag arena. I don't care if it looks recognizable to anyone. They're just going to have to believe us that this 1v1 tag is great. And like it will be, but there is weird stuff in that arena that would never be on a child's playground. And I think I tried to push us to the point where like it looked like a playground, but actually it was a good place to play tag. I don't know if I would have ever found like the actual World Chase Tag Arena that is super bonkers and like this is the perfect thing for tag.
Hmm.
Because like to me that's like not as appealing of an entertainment product. It's like if I want to sell you a great adult experience playing tag, it's like I think it's pretty important to like bring tag aesthetics to it. So it's like I want trees and grass and swing sets and climbing equipment that looks like it, whatever. But like I do want the arena to work with you to make a good game of tag. And I think Dark Ascension for me was like me discovering that philosophy.
Hmm.
I think when I made Born of the Gods, I think I didn't do a good job of it and it was like kind of boring. And then when I worked on the early parts of Dragons of Tarkir, I think that was like the best work I did at making a playground that looked like a playground, but was a good place to play tag. And I think that to me is like the ideal of making a card set or like content for a game is like, I want it to be recognizably that game, but also it's helping you. But I think like, I don't know anybody who looks at World Chase Tag and is like, oh, I remember playing tag. I'd love to go play tag. It's like, it is bonkers and unrecognizable.
Yeah.
And I don't think I could ever bring myself to excitedly make that.
Yeah. I guess that leads me to the question of like, if you're Lord Magic, what do you do? You own it all. You
If
make all the
I
decisions.
own it
You
all,
you replace
I
the
would
head
I
franchise.
would change absolutely nothing and I would collect my $1.3 billion a year.
That is a noble, noble response. Yeah.
And I would fund some other game that was being made for me on the side with my giant pile of money.
All right. I mean, it helps to have a giant pile of money in this time and place for sure.
It does.
It does. Non-trivial worth.
I just think like I know what I want in the world and what I want
Hmm.
to play, but I am also not so arrogant that I believe that I can make a better mass market entertainment product than one that sells $1.3 billion a year. Like, come on. Like
Yeah.
$1 billion is a lot of money and a lot of it represents a lot of happiness being delivered to a lot of people who keep wanting to spend $1 billion a year. Like it would be unbelievably malfeasant of me to screw with that process at all.
I like it. I like the answer. What's on your bucket list at this point? Like what's like the next step or the next few things you're entertaining is like these are the next things.
I want to play in a
Talk.
Riftbound Pro Tour.
Okay. That's a cool one.
That's
Yeah.
I didn't realize how important that was going to be to me until it turned out I threw away the win and into day 2 of the last one, and that would have given me a Pro Tour slot. I want to
Hmm.
play in a Riftbound Pro Tour. I never got to play in a Magic Pro Tour in my time back, and I was
Oh, I
like,
didn't know that. Yeah.
yeah, I was one match away from playing in another Magic Pro Tour several times. Didn't quite get there. Realized I could definitely get there. And that was like sort of one thing I wanted to establish to myself was that I could have done it.
Yeah, sure.
But also I wanted to find a dude and get married. And getting really good at magic was getting in the way of putting myself in the places where you meet dudes.
Yeah.
So, now I am married, which is great. And my husband is playing Riftbound with me, which is also great. And
Mhm.
um, yeah, I think it kind of makes sense now in a way that it didn't before. But like, I want to prove that I can do that. Um, I would say that Pocket Gems has been a really great place to be, and I'm enjoying live opting the game that I put out. Like, it's my baby. I want it to do well, but I think before the end of my career, I want to have worked on a serious game for serious people like me again.
Yeah.
I don't feel like episode Reality Stars can be the last game that I work on, and I want to work on something else serious. I think those are my two gaming related bucket list things.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense to me. I think working on products that will endure certainly is important to me. I think that's something that I care about, whether the company I work for cares about it or not. I can understand why you would care about different things.
I feel like I have already put I have
Yeah.
already fulfilled that bucket list item because of 6.5 years working on Magic. It's like
Mhm.
I have contributed to a cathedral.
Yeah.
No one can take that away from me. I mean, that I have a number of like kind of weird ones where like the things that like nobody can take away from me in terms of Magic, I think are like making sets with like more structure up front. Eric was a big part of that and me discovering that, but I think I mattered to pushing that along.
Mhm.
One was getting modern pushed through Wizards, where I don't want to take credit for like coming up with modern. Like Aaron Forsyth is the one who came up with it, but like I did a lot of legwork to get it by a lot of people, that was cool. And the third one was I think I contributed to getting queer planeswalkers to exist in the Magic IP.
Mhm.
And like the fact that, they made a secret lair savor the moment with like, the character that I pitched as the first gay dude to come out in Magic, like getting married to the boyfriend that they later made for him. It's like that one's mine. I, there was a point near the end of my career there where I'd done some work with the story team and written some pieces of fiction or whatever, and they were like, who could be a queer man based on the existing stories? And there were like three obvious candidates, and two of them were fatally flawed and could not be the first. And Ralzeric was just like the only acceptable person. And it was like, okay, like he lives in a city, speaks sparks to be a planeswalker, uh, clearly can go anywhere he wants, has chosen to stay in the one place that is a giant city, like the most cosmopolitan place in the world. Like
Mhm.
we have never, at that point, they had never made another Magic world where like you could imagine that there was a gay bar, but like in Ravnica, like there can be a gay bar easily. So I'm just like,
Yeah.
okay, like why has he been super
In every guild.
defensive?
In every
Right.
guild. Yeah.
Right. And it's like, why is he so protective of Ravnica in almost a villainy way? Because like that's
Yeah.
the only place that he's found that community. And so like there was some rehabilitation to do where like, you present him more as like this place is mine and I am protecting it, as opposed to like I am the antagonist. But then, he was the one who came out. And I don't know if I don't know if I was the first to pitch that or the only person, but like I pushed for that to be the person. And, um, when that happened, that was a really amazing moment for me. Like, I don't, arguably with like, an out queer planeswalker in Magic, like if I never have another giant success that hits people in a huge way again, like I'd be happy with that one.
Yeah, it's a big one. It begets two questions for me, or two thoughts. One is like, where would you want to go to a bar? Like, which guild would you want to drink in a bar at? And then there's this question of like, are we at a point where like teaching design and being like helping other people achieve their dreams of making the kinds of games we want to play like might make more sense than like starting a new. That's something that I hadn't really thought of before, but it's like, oh, it might be like it's not easier, but it's like a different orientation of like, oh, like working on a cathedral might make a lot of sense at this point. Or teaching people how to make their own could be useful. But where would you want to
I'm
drink? Go ahead.
where I want to drink.
What's
I'm
your
not so
what's
much of
your
a
guild of
bar
choice?
person these days, but I mean,
It sounds
in
like
a
a
certain,
blue white. Blue white
in
would
a,
like be so boring. You're
yeah,
like,
I
all
mean,
right, I'll
in
go.
a,
I'll have a nice drink. It's safe. Everyone will read.
right. Well, I mean, it's funny that I bring up like the Roman gladiator type of thing because it's like I feel very aligned with the Rakdos in a certain way, and that like I mean I wouldn't like describe myself as like a horny circus clown, but like I think they understand the value of entertainment and like what it takes to entertain and attract attention, and like they're fun, and like you don't get to have people's attention unless you're fun. So like I don't know. I think I'm probably more intellectual than like the average Rakdos type person, but like I would if you make me pick one guild off the top of my head, that's it.
It does sound like a good place to spend your time as long as you survive the night. I see you as a split card between like Azorius hybrid mana and Rakdos hybrid mana. Like, why not? You can
Mhm.
do that in this. You can design whatever you want.
Well, it is funny that like I if I were to I think the guild answer and like what magic color pie alignment do I actually have are like kind of different. Like I would want to hang out with the Rakdos, but like I think I'm pretty green. Like
Yeah.
I I'm very interested in growing. I'm very interested in like the right thing happening. You know, I think when you ask like what would you do to magic, like nothing is a very green answer. It's
Let
like,
it overgrow. Like, yeah.
yeah, like if it's wrong for magic to look like this, we'll find that out and they'll change it. It's fine. It's like, you know, I think that it's very interesting that Ben came to me and said like what should pocket gems do? Because that's very different from what do you want to do?
Yeah.
It's like what should this collection of skills and opportunities go toward? And I think, you know, I just listen to what the people and the thing wanted to be. And I feel like when I'm working on a game or a deck, I try to listen to it. I'm not like trying to make it be something. So I feel very green, but
Yeah.
I think I find hanging out with other green people to be often very boring. And I think that I add the most to situations when I am surrounded by people being wild and crazy and I can listen for what we're all being called for and name that.
Yeah. It's interesting. So when I talked to Jeremy Jarvis, he's like, you would be happy in Esper. I asked him which area. And Brady Dommermuth, like 30, 20, 25 years ago, he was like, we were all costing each other. And I was mono green. So if you're wondering
Yeah.
why you're having such a boring time, no, you're it's two green mages talking shop. It's like, oh,
Well,
I don't feel white, black, blue at all.
no, no.
I feel pretty mono green, but I can understand why
Yeah.
someone who is even more green. I don't know what colors Jeremy is.
I
Blue, yeah, green, blue, red, yeah, mono black.
I
It's what he said. Yeah, yeah. I don't know.
I would there's some black and there's some red in my opinion.
I have no idea. Yeah, I don't know. He said black, so you're not like far off of what has been said. But
Yeah.
I kind of agree with Brady's take. Yes, green, sometimes green blue, sometimes green white. That's about it. There's like
Yeah.
I'm like Jacques Lever. Is that white, green, blue?
I God, I don't even know.
It's kind of a requirement to make magic. It's not. He's the wrong guy. But there was a really cool. He's white, red, green. There was a really cool white, green, blue. Oh, Rabinia Soul Singer is white, green, blue, and
Yes.
that's what I think of me as. My wife
Hmm.
wonders why I'm singing the song and why it's not working on her, but it's fine. Anyway,
Sure. I don't know.
yeah,
I think people who get really fancy with color identity are often dodging something, and I really enjoy like I don't know. I think it gets to the heart of things where you're just like, all right, like pick three of something. It's like, okay, now shut up. Pick only two of those. And it's
yeah.
like, okay, you only get one. Like that's where you get to like you really learn something. And
Who are you really?
yeah, and I'm just like, look, I'm not interested in this like three color crap. Like, we learn the most by saying one. And
Also, we've costed a lot of shit in our life. Like we know what the answer is. We're just waiting for you to finally say it.
well,
That's not entirely true, but it's fun to say.
right. No, I think you and I are both primarily green and the rest of it is not the most interesting. So
Yeah, that's true. You would be much more fun at a Rakdos party than I would be. I would be totally fine in Azorius or Selesnya or somewhere off,
yeah.
not even I don't go to bars.
Yeah.
I don't understand the people that do. Yeah.
I mean, speaking of like getting old or whatever, like sometime about a month before my 40th birthday, I became like what I only know how to describe as allergic to alcohol. Like if
Hmm,
I finish half a
convenient.
shot of any alcohol, like I will throw it up. It
You
is
seem to, yeah. Wow.
it's crazy. Like I used to be able to like have a drink or two and it would be fine. Like now I can't. I will be on the toilet and it's miserable. So like
Have you tried taking Tums or antacid ahead of time? No, just kidding.
oh no,
No, yeah.
I mean what it used. I don't know if you knew Anthony Amatolo was a like Phoenix area magic grinder type where he was like, I got the recipe. Like you get home from the bar, you drink 500 milliliters of water, and you do a dose of Pepto Bismol, you'll be fine. And like I did that. That had me be fine under all circumstances until I turned 40, and now I cannot drink even half a shot. So
Yeah, we had a corporate offsite like a year ago, and like anyone over a certain age had to have like antacids with them because if you eat dinner after 6, it's like you're not sure if you're going to sleep through the night, if you know what I
yeah,
mean? Without sad times happening. Anyway, getting old is fun, for sure.
well,
We're not there
It's
yet.
much better than dying.
It is much better than dying. And I found the 40s to be the best in a lot of regards. You're like, oh, you've actually like grown a ton. You have a lot of knowledge other people don't have. You're
Mhm.
kind of at the top of the mountain, and then we'll see what happens after that. But from like a cognition perspective and an energy perspective, I thought the 40s was the best. From like
Yeah.
I feel like a badass.
Mhm.
40s has been pretty great. So hopefully that
Yeah.
is your experience as well.
I do feel like I am frequently underrated in certain situations now in a way that's kind of funny. Where like when I joined this Riftbound team, and I was just kind of like, well, I'm old a little bit, but I know some stuff, and there's times that like the kids would say something, and I'm like, look, I've been playing these games for a long time, and like you should just know this. And at some point, somebody posted the like it was probably AI generated, but it was like a sticker patch that you could buy on the internet that was like, beware of old men in dangerous professions with like a guy with a beard holding like a gun wearing the, plate carrier and looking super badass. And it's like, that's kind of me in certain ways. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm still here. Like, just, yeah, like don't assume anything about like me being a pushover at this point. So
Yeah. We're not
I
playing
don't know.
Twitch games. When you're playing strategy games, like the brain still matters.
Yeah. Yeah, and the experience matters a lot too. It's like,
Yeah.
I like early on in Riftbound, it was like people are like, I don't know how many twos and threes you're supposed to play in this game. I'm like, okay, well, here's a hypergeometric calculator. I just like did all the shit. Like, you want this amount of these numbers of things. And people are just like, why do you know that? And I'm like, just like Frank Karsten has existed. Like, this is like not difficult math to know that you're supposed to do. Like, come on. Like, it's 8 and it's 3 and whatever. And it's like, all the best Chinese decks in the most recent format are playing 8 or 9 twos or whatever. And it's like, I could have told you that on like day 0. So anyway,
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, I hope you. Why not win the Pro Tour? I'll put that on your bucket list. You have to win the Pro Tour now. No, you don't.
I,
It's
yeah,
your.
no.
It's your choice. I was just having fun, but like, why not? I'm like, all right,
The,
I'll put it on
the,
my bucket list just to see you win the
well,
Riftbound
the
Pro
thing
Tour.
that's funny about Riftbound right now is that there isn't a digital client. So I feel like in a certain way, you don't
Mm,
get to choose to win the Pro Tour. Like, if there
that's nice.
were, you could like, just grind 40 hours a week for 2 weeks and like really choose to go nuts. But it's like, yeah, you just can't. Like, you can't get in the queue and play against whatever people played. And, you gotta like have a teammate and you gotta say like, I want to play my, Draven against your Annie or whatever. It's like you're making too many decisions. You can't learn organically in the same way, I think. I mean, it
That's
used to be
I like
really,
I like I like that. Like the fact that there's not a digital like already predetermined way to do everything.
yeah, it's more fun in a certain way, but I also think that it's higher variance. And a lot of this Riftbound Grand Prix that we're preparing for is like, look, I'm definitely playing red and purple cards, and like, I don't know exactly what it's supposed to be. Like, I'm pretty sure there's supposed to be 3 hard bargains in everybody's deck or whatever. And, I we'll see. Who knows? Like, the decks
Huh.
that people are playing in Bologna, which is like the G Grand Prix before mine, are like, they look nothing like what I would have thought was good at all. So, like, yeah, nobody knows anything. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's the best time. I quite like that time. That's my favorite. I guess that's probably why I've been in startup land since I left Wizards. It's pretty much
Yeah.
entirely right. It's
Yeah.
like,
I mean,
what's the future? I don't know. Let's figure it out.
right.
it's
Well,
it's
it's also funny, like you asking about like things on my bucket list. Like,
mhm.
I don't think I would have named like play a brand new trading card game from the beginning as a bucket list item, but like it should have been one. Like, this has been very cool and very interesting. And I'm not sure I'll need to do it again, but like I'm lucky that I was in the right place to pick up the one that like literal Riot Games made. Like, their production values are pretty good. So this will probably be fun.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, it does speak to how important exploration and trial is. Like most of the time, we're just myopically looking at like the thing we're doing and pretty much committed to just trying to make that the best it could be. Which is, I don't know. It's kind of sad, but because there's so many different things going on that would be fun
Yeah.
to like plug into. How to manage your time and energy is like a constant
Yeah. I
thing
mean,
to work on.
in the micro, I'd say that like preparing for this tournament has been very interesting because it's like, what's the appropriate speed to narrow down your deck choice? Like, when do you stop exploring and when do you start trying to like make this deck good? And arguably, I should have narrowed down faster, but like, I don't know. I'm definitely playing red and purple, and like, which legend am I playing with red and purple? Like, I wish I could tell you, but I don't know yet.
Yeah, it's funny. I guess I would say the same thing about this podcast and its book, right? Like the podcast was not on the bucket list.
Yeah.
Being on the internet at all was not on the bucket list. But it has been a lot
Yes.
of fun. It has been a fun journey to do and spend time with different people than like I've spent time with over the last 15 years. Uh,
Yes.
it's been cool. Trying new things and saying yes is cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying yes
You're
to doing
welcome.
this.
Thank you for asking me.
I'm kind of curious. So, like, you're welcome, but you were like an actual person to ask. It wasn't hard.
It
Yeah,
wasn't hard to
usually.
say yes.
Oh, that's nice too.
I like saying yes to you.
Likewise. Yeah. So, like, at the end, I have to create a name for someone. So I like, for some reason, was like Mike Turian puts the MT in MTG, which was funny and
Hmm.
silly.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like this guy makes games. Sometimes it's, you know, what would you want written about you in your like title, in your YouTube title? I know you're a writer. I know you've spoken to the dojo. You could be so many different things, but what would you
Yeah.
want? Tom Lapille and is is or comma the because you only think in magic legendary meaning parlance.
Oh, God.
The Dark Ascender is not the right. That you don't want that. Um, that is not the right title. Loves Dark Ascension.
I mean, what I'm wondering about is like, if I could title this for to maximally amuse me, I think it would be like Tom Lapelli on Blood, Perfume, and the Opium Den.
I gotta write it down now. All right. I don't have any problem with that. I don't blood perfume
Blood, comma,
and
perfume, comma, and the Opium Den.
all right. I've written it
I feel
down.
like that's provocative. I don't know.
It'll baffle the SEO aspects. The algorithm will
Oh,
be like, no, no, I
that's
don't care. I
okay.
don't like. I don't care. I'm not. I like for the most part. I think the channel will come through by like the time that you come on. You'll be in August, so you've got time to think about what you've done here and prepare for.
Yes.
Um, I haven't decided how to do teasers yet. Like,
Mm,
I want to build an automated system that essentially I can schedule everything that just runs and I can live
right.
my life. But like, it does
Yeah.
feel
Oh,
like I can just start throwing people around and like creating this like weird multiverse feel of wow, these are the people who are coming. Like that sounds pretty wild.
yeah. I think you could say like 2010s magic designer Tom Lapelli on those things. That gets the SEO a little better.
Yeah, no, that does seem like oddly literal. Um, it's
What do you mean?
no, it's good. It does.
Oh,
I'm not going to do that. Like, I like the fun one. I feel like
oh,
the algorithm will always force you to do the thing that is boring, um, but
yeah.
useful. It's like the Amazon writer um, dynamic where they just make it as literal as possible. And
Right.
but it depends. Do you want everyone to find you or not? Hmm. I think
All right. We can do the fun one.
yeah, that's what I'm
I like
saying.
the fun one.
I'm pretty sure everyone who you'd want to listen to it will listen to it.
Yeah. And hopefully the title will have them smiling.
It should be. They should return to it and think about what it really means now that they've listened.
Yeah. I don't know. I think having pithy distinctions like that has been useful for many conversations in my life. And yeah, I like them.
Yeah, it is a thing to talk about. All right, last thing. Are you going to MagicCon or no?
I which one? There's so many.
I don't know. There's one in May in Vegas.
Uh I've thought about going to the one that's in Cincinnati in
Oh yeah.
May, I think. Or that's a Star City Con, not a Magic Con. But my mom lives in Cincinnati, and there are Riftbound tournaments at the Star City trading card game conventions now, and they put on a really nice show. So I don't know. It seemed like a thing to do.
Yeah, that's the one I've been interested in talking to Pete Huffling. Like, he's someone who was around as a player in my area,
Yeah,
like before the Pro Tour, and he didn't have Star City Games at the time. He started it just as like Magic was becoming a thing. So like I I remember him, but like who he is now, I have no idea. Like the difference between now and then. I just know him from 30 years ago. I don't even know if I've seen him since.
Yeah,
So,
he would be a very interesting conversation, I'm sure.
I mean, he sees the whole world differently than all of us do, right? So
Yes, and he's pivoted that business through so many different shapes too. That like that's something I respect a lot.
he was a smart dude. He was definitely like, I could spend my time trying to qualify for the Pro Tour, or
Or
let's
this.
do this the smart way. And he was one of the winners, and he was the one who won the Pro Tour by and large, right?
Yeah.
He's one of the real winners. Like, who are the real winners? Like Aaron Forsythe's
Yeah.
the real winner.
Well, there's something
Marco's
that
winner, the real winner. Yeah.
yeah, there's a former blogger from the 2010s who's his name is Venkatesh Rao, and he has a lot of funny. I think I got my taste for funny little distinctions from him. Where one of his that he likes is the pickaxe, where like you don't when the gold rush happens, like you don't want to be the one of the ones digging for gold. You want to be the one selling the pickaxes to people.
Yeah.
And I think like being like the professional Magic player, it's like high status, but like I made way more money off Magic than most people because I have like 6.5 years of salary, and you know Pete Hofling is quite literally selling the pickaxes. Where
Yeah. He is in Deadwood as Timothy Oliphant.
yeah, like Aaron and I are building pickaxes, but Pete is buying and reselling them.
He is one of the winners of this war.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure. And he's not, I don't know that he's ever been front of house, really, right?
No,
He's
never.
never has been. It's wild. Like, it's wild. I can just see him at like the Ice Age Alliance's pre-release, like, which was hugely attended, actually. You have like all these like New York people who came down, people who were no longer with us who were there. And like, it was a really fun time. I think Elaine and Kieran were probably also
Yeah,
there, the chases. Just it's been 30 years. A lot
yeah,
Magic done a lot of good for a lot of us.
yes. But we are in many ways the winners because we
Yeah.
are the ones who made the pickaxes.
And so are you, listener. For your own journey and whatever Magic gave you.
Yes,
All right. It was good to see you.
but
Thanks for
it
doing
gave
this.
me literal money, which is neat too. So
Yeah. I would say Silicon Valley was better for that.
yeah,
But it did give us money. That is true.
it did. It literally gave us money. So yeah,
Yes.
thank you
Thank you,
so much
Magic
for
the
having
Gathering.
me.
Yes, I will thank you again.
Yeah, thank you.
Until we meet again, good luck at Riftbound, and
Thank you.
I'm sure we'll talk offline at some point.
We will.
All right. Take
All
care,
right.
mister.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.